All right, I'm gonna pull up my presentation and share my screen. Here we go. Here we go. Awesome, I can still see you guys, so I'm just gonna leave it like this. So tonight I am talking about kind of just my business plan for February. This might be something you guys already know. I don't know how long you've been a coach. It really just depends. But I know for newer coaches, this is something they're always like, you know, what is my coach doing? And it just helps you to get a good idea of what you need to be doing, you know, because if I've been doing this for 3 years successfully, then success leaves clues. And that's how I always built my business, was following what my coach did and hearing what was her plan for the month, and then just kind of basing mine off of that. And not exactly like I would, you know, change things here and there, but I thought it would be helpful if I shared that with you guys. So I also am just touching at the end on bringing things back to the basics, like kind of what does that mean? Because for me personally, and I kind of wrote about this in our team page, the first, or what was it? December and January were definitely harder months for me hitting Success Club and just bringing on new clients in general, bringing on new coaches. It was just harder. So I'm going to talk about that as well. But here we go. Okay, so first off, I'm just going to talk about, let me move my little, there we go, monthly focuses, because this is really where I start everything out when it comes to like planning my month. I typically plan my next month like a couple weeks before the month has kicked off. So I was planning out my February in mid-January pretty much. And what I love to do to keep things really, really simple is just have a few focuses. So I mean, as coaches, we host challenge groups, we host coach workshops or some kind of webinar, like coach something to get coaches signed up, right? And then we typically also host free groups. And so those are kind of like what I touch on with my monthly focuses. And I just got this really awesome marketing planner from Melanie Mitro. If you guys don't know who she is, she was like one of the top coaches in Beachbody for like 4 years in a row. And ever since I signed up, she was always in the top. And so I like followed her obsessively, and she's amazing. She's super organized. So she created this little planner. It says "Make Chic Happen" on it. And it's all about like helping you create a social media game plan where, you know, you're creating a marketing plan for yourself every month. And I found like with our business, if social media is our storefront, that's just so vital, is like having this game plan on the front end. And obviously we're doing the work on the back end. So I'm going to be talking more about like my monthly plan with the front end and like social media and that kind of stuff. But what's awesome about this planner is they have like a little month layout for you guys. I don't know if you can see like me in my video, maybe you can't even see it, I'm trying to show you, but it's been super helpful because this basically what I'm sharing with you guys is what she's already laid out in her planner. So if you guys ever get this planner, you'll kind of like have all of this laid out for you. You just need to fill in the blanks. But you don't need the planner to do this every month. I was doing this long before I even got the planner. But basically, so I have 3 focuses, right? I have my boot camp, and this month I'm doing the self-love project. So I have my prep week starting, which is kind of like a new separate group alongside the boot camp. That's launching on the 10th. And then on the 17th, I have my official start date for my boot camp. I'm also hosting a coach workshop, like I said. And so I called that the Life by Design workshop, and that's going to be the 22nd through the 25th. And then lastly, I don't usually host free groups. I used to host them a lot, but I have recently tried hosting a little free group where it's kind of like that message thread in Instagram. You know, I don't know if you guys have used the sticker, but you can like start a thread or a message thread, kind of like a little chat with this one topic. And so I started that. I did like an early risers club, and kind of everybody held each other accountable to getting up early on Instagram. Like the thread is all, it all stays on Instagram, which I love, because I've also been hosting my coach workshops on Instagram. So just kind of having everything all in one place has been really helpful for me. So this month I'm going to try to do that little chat thread again, but I'm just going to change the theme to being like a miracle morning. So kind of sharing with people every single day in that little free group or free chat thread, how I run my miracle morning. Like, how do I have, like, what does that routine look like? And that's just going to be the 5 days at the very end of the month, like right after my coach workshop. So I'll mention it on the 26th, and then I'll close it either on the 1st or the 2nd of March. So just something to note with all of this stuff that I have going on, there's 3 main focuses, obviously. But whenever I'm posting, like whenever I'm talking in my stories or creating an Instagram post, I'm not ever talking about multiple things at once. Like, yes, I'm aware of all this stuff that's going on in my month, but I know that if I talk about, I have a free group and a coach workshop and a boot camp, like it really overwhelms people and confuses them. So just a side note, like whenever it's time to promote the boot camp, like wholeheartedly promote the boot camp. Whenever it's time to do, coach workshop stuff, like go all in with it. Like don't ever do multiple ones, because it kind of confuses people. So, okay, so now I'm just going to dive into each group, like specifically. So the self-love project is my boot camp, like I told you guys. So the way that I kind of like plan my month or focus on things is I break it down by like key dates. So obviously I told you guys my prep week group is going to start on the 10th. And then the official boot camp launches on the 17th. So I always have kind of those 2 dates, because sometimes people are late and they get in on the group late, or, they'll be like, oh, I don't get paid until next Friday. Like, can I please still join? So just kind of giving that grace period. And then I always create like a focus for this boot camp, because I've noticed, if I just throw it out into the world or the universe that I'm hosting a boot camp, people don't really get excited about it. But if I have like a theme and something that I'm really excited about, like people get excited about that same thing, right? So what's really cool with Beachbody, I think, is that we have so many tools to get excited about. Like you could, go learn about 2B mindset and get freaking obsessed with it. And you can host a 2B mindset group, and like that can be your focus. For me, I love to change it up like every month. And I typically love to hone in more so on a theme rather than like a program. But this month they kind of all go together, which was really fun. So my focus for this month is self-love, obviously, because it's February, the month of love. Oh my gosh. I just realized the other day that I'm kind of dyslexic. So I don't even know if that has anything to do with the fact that I just switched my words, but I just think that's funny. Okay, so self-love through workouts and nutrition, self-love in other areas, emotional, mental, like these are all, things I'm going to focus on with the boot camp. And then I'm also focusing on a launch of a prep week bonus group. So typically I just host a prep week the first week of my boot camp, but I've noticed I'm adding people at just all different times throughout the month. And a lot of people get lost in the shuffle of the prep week and the start date. And I don't feel good about knowing that they started off solid, with a solid foundation, especially with nutrition. I know like Alex and I have talked about that, like some of the meal plans are confusing. So I decided this month I'm just going to create a group, like a whole separate group on Facebook, and it's going to have units. Like you can change a Facebook group to be a social learning group and kind of lay it out like a course. So each unit is going to have like, here's your meal plan, right? Here's like the containers, here's how to use them, just all the resources for nutrition and getting started with their program in one place. And I know some other coaches were talking about doing this. I think it was Vic and Ashley that I originally got the idea from. So I'm a part of their group. So I'm going to pull a lot of like what they're doing from their group into mine until I kind of get a better system in place. So that's a huge focus that I'm sharing about. That's just new, and it's a total separate like bonus group for all my current clients or brand new clients joining, because I really want to make sure people like get started off on the right foot. And then the other thing that I've been thinking about is if they have this prep week group forever access to, whenever they fall off track, like they can go back to it, right? And like walk themselves through that course. So I'm really excited about that. And then the other thing I'm doing that's new is the bar blend program. I just finished the ultimate reset and it was so awesome. So I'm diving back into workouts, and the program's still on sale. So it's a great opportunity to like launch it. And people just get excited whenever you're doing a program. I find that like most of my clients want to do what I'm doing because it helps with accountability. It helps us all stay on track if we're all doing the same thing, right? So And also that's just a confidence boosting program. So I feel like it's perfect for the month of love, like self-love. So then the third thing I like to focus on or talk about when I like planning these groups out is what are my marketing tactics? So here you have these exciting updates that I just mentioned to you, like the prep week group being separate and just all the self-love focus. I'm also going to be taught like marketing, you know, tactics using practicing self-love, not just preaching it. Because I think that's a big thing right now in our world, in our culture, is like the body piece and body acceptance. And I love that. But I'm like, let's like take action on it. Let's not just like preach it all the time. And I think with our workouts and with our nutrition, it gives people the opportunity to take action every single day. And then I'll also be marketing, which I've already been marketing since it's the 5th of the month. I've been marketing like nutrition tips. So I've been sharing little nutrition tips here and there through my posts or through my boot camps. And that's an awesome marketing tactic because my prep week group is mainly focused in on nutrition and building that solid foundation. So I think it's really important, like when you're planning a group, to not only have like, you know, a focus, but like, how am I going to translate those focuses or the main theme into my marketing? Like, how am I going to get other people excited about that? Because I could say to people like, it's a self-love boot camp, but like, they're not gonna, you know, get as excited about it if I don't tell why, you know, or why does self-love matter, or why they should love themselves, or why self-love is important to me, you know? So the marketing tactics, just, I feel like they take everything to the next step. So lastly, with the program, I'm going to be marketing the benefits of dance, barre, and yoga, because a lot of barre blends moves are founded in physical therapy. And I've already noticed, I'm like literally 3 days in, and I've already noticed I get a lot of low back pain because I have bad posture and a really long torso. So I'm always like slouching over, but I've already noticed my low back pain not as bad like on the day to day. And I think it's because it's strengthening the core so much. So it's protecting my lower back. So like that's something I can talk about right there. So yeah, benefits of dance, barre, yoga, and then benefits of mindfulness too, because the program is super big on mindfulness with the meditation videos and the cards and all that. So then lastly, I just write, you know, things to note. Registration opens for this bootcamp on the 1st. So when I say my bootcamp is starting on the 17th, I'm obviously not promoting it on the 17th. Like I'm promoting it on the 1st. I think I even started breadcrumbing it in my stories on like 3 days before the month switched over to February. So like I am marketing this thing up the wazoo way before it even like begins. And when registration opens, like that's when I really like get big with everything, you know, like I'm really, really loud on social media about it. And that was another thing that I wrote down to breadcrumb like glimpses of the workout program or glimpses of the boot camp or glimpses of the prep week group that I'm going to be launching, and then being really loud about like my personal story with health, because that's something that inspires people to get started on their own journey, is like when you talk about your story, and lots and lots and lots of transformations, right? Because transformations, if you look into your insights on Instagram, they're like the #1 thing that people look at or that draws new accounts to your page. Like they're always the most popular things. And then I also wrote down my goal is that 10 spots are filled and I'm closing registration on the 15th, sorry. So usually I keep my registration I like do a soft close, and this month I'm kind of changing things up. I really want to experiment like a hard close, like being really loud on social media about how registration is closing. And if people do, you know, still want info on a boot camp, I'll say, yes, I'll give you the info, but like, we'll get you signed up for my next boot camp, because I really want to keep things organized this month. So that's just like a personal preference. I'm just kind of experimenting with things, because in the past months I've found people like when they have so much time to sign up and I'm not being super hard or strict on like the registration closing, then they're a little bit more likely to push off signing up, right? Because they're not under pressure. They're like, yeah, the group starts, but like I can start whenever, because I know you're always hosting these things. So yeah, that's what I'm going to try. Okay, now I'm going to talk about like my coach workshop that I'm hosting. So I pretty much laid this out exactly like I did with the boot camp. I have my key dates, I have my focus, I have my marketing tactics, I have things to note. So hopefully, like if you're planning your month, if you already planned your month and now you're planning March, or maybe you're just like late to the game and planning February as you go. I always used to be really late to the game, so it's okay. But hopefully this will give you kind of an idea of like how you can do this for yourself every single month. And like I said, I'm using a planner, so I love having that visual element of like seeing it all before me. And even in like each day of my calendar, I'll write down like, okay, today is a day I'm going to add value. Today is a day I'm going to do a call to action. Oh, today I want 3 spots filled. Today I want, you know, little like goals along the way to your group and whatever you're doing. So I will just like read through all of this stuff because I know you guys kind of get the idea, but maybe this will help you with coach workshops. So key dates for my coach workshop this month is I'm kicking it off on the 22nd. So that's kind of like a weekend. I think that's a Saturday. And then I'm closing it on the 25th. That's a Tuesday. So I typically like to do coach workshops like for 3 to 5 days. And my focus is creating a life by your own design. That's the title of it. And I found like that's just something I love about coaching, is that I can literally like create my life as I go. I can, you know, make my days look how I want them to. So not answering to someone else. I'm deciding what my paycheck will be. I'm deciding what success looks like for me. I'm working towards, or, you know, the person I'm talking to, they're working toward their future rather than like your boss's future. And I'm pairing passion with sustainable income. So like those are all the things I'll be talking about in the coach workshop. So again, like marketing tactics, how am I going to communicate this? How am I going to get this across to the people that I'm trying to get into the boot camp or into the workshop, right? Because whenever you're marketing something, like whether it's a boot camp or a coach workshop, like whatever it is, the point of the marketing is to get people to want to be a part of it, right? Like, so I wrote down here, talk about pain points. And you can do that with your boot camps as well. But I really wanted to talk about pain points in terms of my coach workshop, just because I don't know. I feel like my pain points are so obvious with that. Pain points, if you don't know what pain points are, they're really just like, what were your struggles when you started? Like for me with coaching, my struggle was like financial income. Like I was like broke and living paycheck to paycheck. So that's like a pain point. Like it's painful, you know, to think about. Another one was always feeling like I couldn't really buy the best stuff for my health or for my wellness. Like when I started getting passionate about health, I really wanted to buy Shakeology, but I felt like I couldn't afford it. Or I really wanted to buy organic food because I learned about how it was better for you, but I felt like I couldn't afford it. So like another pain point right there. Another pain point, you know, is that you have a boss, maybe that's like in charge of your schedule and you feel like you can never get time off. So I really want to, with coaching, talk about those pain points from my own story, like share my struggles and also the struggles like then compared to now, because I found that when you can be the most authentic in your story, that's when people really get excited and really resonate with you. And so I'm going to talk about my story then, like when I first signed up to be a coach, but it's been 3 years. And so I really want to also talk about the struggles I'm going through now and the struggles that are still present in my life and how coaching is going to help me with those in the future, right? Because like the journey's never over, and I don't want people to think, you know, you sign up to be a coach and everything's perfect all of a sudden, right? Like I want them to know like I'm still working towards something and will always be working towards something. So I will also be marketing like freedom, creating my current life by design, and like how that feels, because I think Chad and I have gone through a huge transition just over the past few months. And we are actually going to be announcing that Chad's leaving all of his side jobs. So for a long time, he has been working like Uber and Lyft, like driving for them. He's been doing little recording gigs here and there, like just lots of little things apart from his band. Like that's his main thing. So I'm going to use that like announcement to, you know, do a call to action and call people to take action on like joining me in the coach workshop, because that's incredible, right? Like that's a huge, it's basically like a transformation with coaching. So, and then I'm also going to talk about how in the group, I'm going to be sharing my income. So just to create curiosity with people, get them excited about hopping in there, and maybe people who wouldn't necessarily want to join. I feel like if somebody was talking about their income, like even if I wasn't super interested in the topic, I would just want to join, because that's like, you know, it creates intrigue and curiosity. So last things I wrote down just to note for the group is that I'm going to start marketing on the 16th. So same thing I talked about with my last like boot camp focus. Even though this group starts on the 22nd, was it? Or yeah, the 22nd. I'm not going to start marketing on the 22nd. I'm going to start marketing like way in advance, like a week in advance. And then I'm opening enrollment at the end of the workshop. This was something that I used to do all the time. Every time I'd host a coach workshop or a coach webinar, you know, sharing about coaching, I would do like this massive, like open enrollment announcement that all the coaches who were, or all the people who were a part of the coach workshop with me were now able to join the coach, or able to join the team. Wow. Word. So I stopped doing that for a while, again, just probably out of laziness and forgetfulness. And I totally saw like a decline in people enrolling to be a coach on our team, because I was simply just not saying and announcing at the end of my coach workshop that enrollment was open. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just stopped doing that. So yeah, I'm going to open enrollment at the very end, like the last day of the coach workshop. And then I also have a goal that I want to get 5 new coaches signed up from that workshop. So that means, you know, that helps me reverse engineer how many people do I have to get into it? How many people do I have to invite? How many, you know, posts do I have to make? Like I got to do a lot. So, and then lastly, I wrote breadcrumb perks and lots of CTA. So call to actions about who I'm looking for. That's another thing I've just, you know, I always breadcrumb the perks of coaching, and that kind of helps me set up the group on Instagram stories. But I also want to share specifically this month lots of call to actions about like the person I want to join our team, because that was something I noticed too. I think enrollment for coaching in general was just higher when I was creating posts where I was talking directly to like, this is who I want to join our team. So yeah, just another thing that I'm experimenting with. And then, so here's my free group. This is really, really simple because like I said, I haven't done free groups in a while. I'm not a huge fan of free groups anymore, just because I usually don't find a lot of retention from free groups. But I'm still going to do one. I'm still just going to try and see, because that's our job as coaches, right? To just try things and see what works. So I'm doing this whole Miracle Morning group, and let's see my key dates. So I'm just hosting this really quickly on Instagram. Like I said, through a message thread. I'm announcing the chat on the 25th, 26th. So right after my coach workshop's done, I'm going to get on Instagram and basically just say like, I'm announcing, you know, I'm starting this Miracle Morning group, and I used to struggle with my mornings, you know, snoozing and feeling purposeless, wanting to be an early riser, but feeling rushed out of the house. So again, like just telling my story, announcing the group, opening up the chat thread. And then for those 2 days, the 25th and the 26th, I will invite all the people who like clicked on the little button to join the thread to the group. And then just for, I think it was 5 days, I'm just gonna like pop into the group thread on Instagram every morning and just say like, okay guys, like here's, you know, my Miracle Morning layout. You know, first I do silence, meditation, then I do this. So just kind of walking them through that. And then for the most part, I want to focus the rest of the days on accountability. So, you know, asking them like, did you guys try to do a meditation today? Did you try to do, did you read today? So then lastly, I wrote down things to note. Like what's the reason I'm doing this Miracle Morning group? Because I find with free groups, I oftentimes forget like why I'm doing it, and then it just it's not as successful because I forget so quickly like why I'm doing it, or I get bored with it. So this time I wrote down for myself like I need to mention to everyone in the group somehow, I'm just going to weave it in, that my March boot camp opens up for registration, you know, in a few days, because this will be the very end of February. And then I'll breadcrumb in this little free group that the movement piece is a part of my Miracle Morning routine, like getting your movement in or your fitness. So that works perfectly with the workouts that I already have, right? So like my on-demand gym membership. So I'm just going to kind of weave that in. And then I'll also breadcrumb how like coaching was the thing that taught me this. So I'm doing like another little plug there to coaching, but I'm also going to plug my boot camp again and say like, these are what teach me how to stick with it, stick with the miracle morning routine because of the accountability in our boot camps, right? Because of the discipline and the motivation we get from those. So yeah, that's how I'm gonna run my free group. And then I wanted to come down to talking about like this whole bringing it back to the basics and like, what does that mean? Because for me, when I was struggling last month, January and December with Success Club, you know, for a long time I was saying a lot of these things, and maybe you're finding that you have said these things to yourself, or, you know, this is something that goes through your head. Like when things aren't working, are you saying it could be that everyone is saying no? Like, are you just like saying everyone's saying no, that's why things aren't working? Is it that everyone bails, like everybody ghosts? Because these were all things that I was thinking. Like I said, like these are all things that were going through my brain and why I wasn't getting enough people signed up or enough coaches enrolled. I was saying like the Instagram algorithm is just blocking my posts from people, right? Or then like I took some time to reflect and I asked myself, like, could it be that I actually just haven't sent enough invites? And typically I'm pretty open with you guys. Like I send, like in my non-negotiable number of invites I send per day is 10. And I think I just had a lot of pride in the way. And I was like, why isn't this working? You know, like, why isn't this working? I've been doing this for 3 years. And I think I got all up in my head and prideful that like, I've been doing this for a while, so I should, you know, have everybody running to me to sign up. And really, when I like took this time to reflect, I realized like, oh, maybe it is that I haven't sent enough invites, right? Maybe it's not the world against me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's that I'm not being clear and direct with my marketing. Because I remember, you know, I was posting about boot camps and I was posting about my coach workshop. But when I really think about it, like what was the big theme? What was the big pull? What was like my excitement about it? And I can look back in January and December, and I know that the Ultimate Reset was really hard for me. So it was hard to market because I wasn't excited about it because it was really hard. I was like struggling my way through it. And then in December, I think I was finishing up the work and that was fun, but like I was just all over the place because of traveling and holidays. And so I mean, like, honestly, when I took this time to just like reflect, I realized, Leanna, you are just being such a big baby. You're being so prideful because when things aren't working, I always know this to be true. Like the basics always work. Like the vital behaviors, guys, inviting, reaching out to people, building relationships, like all the things that we know how to do as coaches, all the things on the Success Club system tracker. So really, like if you're feeling this way at all, or maybe you had a really rough January or a rough December, just ask yourself, like, could it be that I haven't sent enough invites? Could it be that I'm not being clear and direct with my marketing? Because I know I wasn't. Could it be that I'm not authentically excited about what I'm doing or hosting? Like, you know, if you're not excited about the program you're going through, no, it doesn't mean that you should necessarily like quit in the middle of it. Like I wasn't going to quit the Ultimate Reset just because it was hard for me, but I probably could have found better ways to get creative with, you know, sharing why I was doing it, not just like the parts that sucked and why I was really frustrated about it. And like, lastly, could it be that you're telling and not sharing? And I found that over the past 2 months, I was doing a lot of telling. I was telling people what I was going to do. I was telling people about my boot camp. I was telling, you know, I was making pretty graphics. But like Kate Schultes said, I don't know if you guys were on the Monday night call, but she said, when you get on your Instagram stories and you lay out to people like verbally, and not through a graphic, not through like something pretty or, you know, story highlight, but you get on there verbally and you like show your face and you're like, this is why, you know, or you talk about like why your boot camp is going to be amazing this month or why you're excited about it. And you give like a little spiel, like that is sharing. You're sharing about your story. You're sharing about what you're excited about. You know, you're sharing things that will motivate people to want to come and sign up with you. And I'm not saying don't do graphics. Like, I love the graphics. I already made a graphic for my group for this month. I already posted them. Like, they're on my story highlight, but I've been really honing in on like sharing my story rather than just like telling people this is what I'm doing, right? Like sharing how they can be a part of it, sharing more about, you know, my transformation with health and coaching and all the things. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Basically, this job works if we choose to do the work, right? Like, it is a choice every single day. And as much as I was like, oh, you know, December was hard, January was hard, it may have been hard, but it might have been that I just wasn't putting in enough invites, or I wasn't being clear and direct with my marketing. And I think really what's funny and kind of amazing is that like the work that I'm talking about, like, this is the work. Like, going through these seasons, going through these lulls in our business, going through these highs, going through just, you know, the day to day, and like learning how to enjoy the journey and learning how to be better at storytelling and be better with our marketing, right? Like, it's not something we learn overnight. All this stuff is just like this long, beautiful journey. And like, that is the work. Like, we already know what boxes we have to check off. So like, our job as coaches is to focus on like checking off the boxes better every single day and checking off more boxes, right? Getting more, you know, strategic, getting better with our time management. I wrote down here, constantly evolving, constant planning and strategizing, shifting as we go and learning, not taking no for an answer, and not being done until we get to where we're going, right? So like, my goals, you know, for December and January, I didn't necessarily get to my big goal, but I always hit Success Club 10. Like, I always hit my non-negotiable goal of like, if I don't hit this, like, I'm probably not going to be able to be a full-time coach kind of thing. So maybe, you know, get clear with yourself that like, regardless of the ups and the downs of the months, good or bad, you have this non-negotiable goal that's going to be, you know, your baseline, so that you can keep doing this, right? And then lastly, I just wrote down here, either we keep making excuses for ourselves, which is pride, and that's what I was dealing with the past 2 months, or we get creative, we try something new, and we solve our own roadblocks. Like, truly, that is what being an entrepreneur is, and I love that. Like, I've always loved problem solving. So if you don't love problem solving, get comfortable with it, because that is literally like what our job is as coaches, right? So yeah, lastly, I just wrote this quote, don't change the goal, change your route to it. Because for me, you know, I had these goals in January and December that I was missing and not getting to, and I was really frustrated, and I had to tell myself, like, I'm not going to change my goals. It's not that like suddenly I got bad or I lost ability to do the job. It's just that I need to change my route a little bit, right? Like, I need to adjust. I need to find a better route. So that is what I'm doing by being very organized and strategic, planning out my months way in advance, and kind of just like everything I just shared with you guys about how I'm planning my February. Hopefully this was helpful. I haven't even looked at the chat, so I'm going to do that. Here, I'll stop my share. But if you guys have any questions, you can just unmute yourself. There's like not that many of us on, so we can just talk. The name of the planner is called Make Chic Happen. I'll type it in the chat. Yeah, it's Melanie Mitro and then her success partner, Katie Ersta. They're both coaches and they're both like so inspiring, have awesome journeys. I just love them both. Make sheet happen. I think that was kind of what they were going for, is that like, it sounds like make shit happen, but it's make chic happen, because they want your business to be like chic. Thank you, Nadia. You guys are so sweet. I love reading through these. Yay, I'm so glad this was helpful. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, I'm gonna end record.